Welcome to Daily Papers, the podcast where we break down the latest research into bite-sized, mind-blowing chunks.
Today, we're talking about a story that feels like it's straight out of a movie. It's got a volcanic eruption, a lost Roman library, and a team of scientists using particle accelerators and AI to read ancient texts that have been sealed shut for 2,000 years.
It's absolutely incredible. We're talking about the Herculaneum papyri. These are hundreds of ancient scrolls that were buried when Mount Vesuvius erupted in 79 AD. It's the only large-scale library to have survived from the classical world.
But there's a huge catch. The intense heat of the eruption didn't just bury the scrolls, it carbonized them. It basically baked them into brittle, black lumps of charcoal. They look more like burnt logs than ancient books.
And that's the great paradox of Herculaneum. The eruption that preserved them also made them almost impossible to read. For centuries, scholars have tried to physically unroll them, but it's a destructive process. The moment you touch them, they can crumble into dust.
So you have this treasure chest of ancient knowledge, lost works of philosophy, history, poetry, and it's locked. You can look at the scrolls, but you can't open them without destroying them. Until now.
Exactly. This new paper, titled Complete Virtual Unwrapping and Reading of a Rolled Herculaneum Papyrus, presents a way to read these scrolls without ever laying a hand on them. They are literally reading a closed book.
So how on earth do you do that? It sounds like magic.
It's not magic, but it is incredibly high-tech. The process has a few key steps. First, they need to see inside the scroll. To do that, they take it to a facility in France with a particle accelerator called a synchrotron.
Right, a synchrotron. That's one of those massive circular buildings that whips particles around nearly the speed of light. They use it to generate incredibly powerful X-rays.
Precisely. They use these X-rays to perform something called X-ray computed microtomography, or MUCT for short. You can think of it like a medical CT scan, but on a microscopic level. It creates a fantastically detailed 3D digital model of the entire carbonized scroll, revealing all the layers of papyrus wrapped up inside.
Okay, so you have a 3D scan of the scroll, that's step one, but it's still all rolled up just digitally. How do you unroll it?
This is where the virtual unwrapping comes in. It's a massive computational challenge. Sophisticated computer programs trace the complex, wrinkled, and compressed layers of papyrus within that 3D scan. Then the software digitally flattens those layers, turning them into 2D images, as if the scroll had been physically unrolled.
Wow, so they now have a digital image of the page, but that brings us to the biggest problem of all, right? The ink.
The absolute biggest problem. In the ancient world, the most common ink was basically soot mixed with water and a binder. It was carbon-based, and the papyrus scroll, after being flash-baked by a volcano, is also carbon.
So you're looking for carbon ink on a carbon background. It's like trying to read a message written in black ink on a piece of black paper in a dark room. The X-rays would just see it all as the same stuff.
It's almost invisible. The ink might be a tiny bit thicker than the papyrus or have a slightly different texture, but the signal is incredibly faint. And for a long time, this was the roadblock. But this is where the new breakthrough really shines: machine learning.
Ah, the AI enters the scene.
Exactly. The researchers trained an AI model to hunt for these faint, ghost-like traces of ink. They showed it scans of previously opened fragments where they already knew where the writing was. The AI learned to recognize the subtle signature of the ink on the papyrus texture.
So it learned to spot the unspottable. And what's really cool is how they accelerated this process. Much of this work was part of something called the Vesuvius Challenge.
Yes, it was an open competition with prize money, inviting computer scientists, students, and enthusiasts from all over the world to develop the AI that could crack this problem. It brought in a flood of new ideas and really pushed the technology forward.
And according to this paper, it worked. So what did they find?
They report several huge successes. First, they achieved the complete virtual unwrapping and reading of a scroll known as PHERC 1677. This is the first time an entire unopened scroll has been read from start to finish this way.
That is a monumental first. Do we know what it says?
It appears to be a philosophical text. The authors think it has a Stoic context, discussing things like pleasure, pain, and ethical theory. They even found a mention of a Stoic philosopher named Aristocreon. It's a whole new text from the ancient world that no one has read in 2,000 years.
That's amazing. And there was more, wasn't there? They identified another scroll.
Yes, they analyzed a different scroll, PHERC 139, and were able to read the title and author. It's a work by the Epicurean philosopher Philodemus titled On Gods, Book 8.
So not only can they read the text, they can recover library metadata. It's like finding a lost book on a shelf and finally being able to read the spine.
Exactly. And to make sure their AI wasn't just making things up, they validated the technique on a third scroll where, thanks to a slightly different preservation state, the ink was actually visible in the 3D scans. The AI's findings matched the physical evidence perfectly.
So what does this all mean for the future? Is this just a one-time party trick?
Not at all, and that's the most exciting part of this paper. The researchers say they have moved beyond isolated demonstrations and now have a scalable framework. They've built a reliable pipeline, a system.
So they can do this again and again for the hundreds of other scrolls that are still sitting there waiting to be read.
That's the goal. We are standing at the threshold of digitally opening an entire library from classical antiquity. We have no idea what we'll find. Lost poems by Sappho, forgotten histories of Rome, philosophical works that change our understanding of the ancient world.
It feels like a whole new chapter of history is about to be written, a true marriage of the ancient past and the cutting-edge future.
It's a stunning achievement, and a reminder that there are still so many secrets out there waiting for the right tools to unlock them.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for tuning in to Daily Papers.
Join us next time as we unwrap another fascinating piece of research.